So I had a question on the Q&A today from someone asking what exactly do I shoot with? They didn't specify whether it was stills, video work, so it was kind of an open-ended question. So let's show you some of the gear that I actually use. Some of it you've probably seen before, others you might be new. Let's get started with these. This is Samsung camcorder and a Sony camcorder. Both shoot 1080 24 and 1080 30 frames per second. I don't actually use these that often anymore. They're good for setting up on tripods so that I can get different angles of the same shot. But as I said, don't use them that often anymore. They're still set up, I still do use them occasionally, and they're handy little things, they're nice and portable. Next up, we have point and shoots. This is a Fujifilm EXR and a Sony, no, this is Canon. I actually have about 5 of these. Once again, very easy to just slip in the pocket. They all take 1080, 24, 1080, 30 frames a second, so they're all high def shooters. Easy to carry around. Again, I don't use them that often, mainly because none of them have articulating screens. So if I'm shooting myself, if I'm doing vlogging work, I can't see what I'm shooting. Person on the other side can see what I'm shooting, but I can't see myself. Something that comes in very handy for vlogging. But if I'm just out doing a sort of first person perspective, easy to carry around and video quality is good enough on them. Wanting to start up a YouTube channel, I recommend getting at least one point and shoot camera. Quality is not as good as other cameras I use, mainly because sensor size. These have very small sensors, these are about 1 inch sensors in the cameras. Next on the list is filters. I use a whole range of filters. These are just some of them, not all of them that I've got. They range from UV filters to circular polarizers to neutral density filters, different filters for different reasons. I tend to go with these filters. These are B&W filters. They're a bit more expensive, coming in at the $200 to $250 range, but they're much better quality than, for example, the Koken filters. Unfortunately, I need a lot of filters because each lens that I have tends to have a different thread size. So you've got 67, 72s, 77s, different thread sizes. So I need basically all my filters, UV, circular polarizer, neutral density filters in every size. So I tend to have a lot of these around. Next on the list is just a bunch of general peripherals that I use. Lens hoods for different lenses that I use. Cuts out the sort of light that's getting in. Of course, you've got speed lights, nighttime photography, special effects. Everybody should have at least one speed light. A lot of people tend to rely on the built-in flash on the cameras. They really aren't very good at all. So I use external speed lights. This thing here is a remote receiver for the speed lights. I can put one of these on the camera, one on the speed light, move that speed light off somewhere else, on a tripod or just on the ground, whatever type of shot I'm going for. And when I press the shutter, infrared signal will transmit to the speed light and trigger that speed light in a remote location. This is a set of extension tubes. Extension tubes are used in macro photography. This is a set of 3 extension tubes and it allows you to zoom in a lot further than just a normal macro lens allows you to. 1.4 teleconverter. Same as the Canon teleconverter that I recently done a video review on. I will be buying the Canon one. This is a Kenko one. It works just fine, except it won't work on my new 1DX camera. It works fine on my older cameras, just not on the new one. Hence why I'm going with the Canon. The Canon one also is just a better quality than this one. There's no chromatic aberration, it's sharp end to end. Go watch my video that I posted the other day about the Canon Extender 1.4. This is the one I've got though, and I still use it. Drones, aerial shots. I have 4 drones. This is the one I use the most. This is a DJI Professional 3, shoots in 4K as well as 1080. Very stable, very easy to control. I do want a DJI Mavic. It's less than half the size of this, easier to carry around. A lot of the same features, 4K, 1080. It also has avoidance collision. Basically, yeah, I want a DJI Mavic, just don't have one yet. But aerial photography, drones. Cameras, next up is cameras. I shoot a bunch of different cameras. You saw the point and shoots earlier. These are more high-end cameras. This is an old Sony mirrorless APS-C camera. This is a Sony mirrorless full-frame camera. And of course you've seen this before. This is the 1DX Mark II. It's a Canon full-frame professional camera. Used for different purposes. All 3 shoot video. These 2 shoot 1080. This one will shoot 4K. This one actually shoots 4K at 60 frames per second. Something no other camera yet does. It also shoots 1080 at 120 frames per second. Very few cameras do 1080 at 120. So this does both 4K at 60 and 1080 at 120, allowing me super slow-mo pictures if I want them. Of course you pay for this. This is a expensive camera. In fact, all of these are expensive cameras. Okay, now this is my main vlogging camera. It's a Canon, there we go, lock onto this. It's a Canon EOS 70D, so it's one generation behind. The new one's an EOS 80D. As you can see, it's got the flip out screen, the rotating screen. That's one of the main reasons I use it as a vlogging camera. I can actually see what I'm doing. It's an APS-C sensor, costs, I think they're about $1,000. I think this one was about $1,400 when I first bought it. Excellent vlogging camera, and of course it's got Canon's DPAF dual pixel autofocus, which is just superb. A Shure microphone on top with the what they call the dead cat to reduce noise. And a Joby Gorilla stand. Very handy, very flexible. Holds the camera. I can handhold the camera. I can put it down like it is just now. Use it as a tripod. Very flexible. So this is my main vlogging camera. Right now, obviously, since I'm recording the camera, I'm using my 1DX Mark II. But you'll be able to see me in the screen, right there. Now, of course, with DSLR cameras, you need lenses. This is just some of the lenses I've got. I've actually got over 20 lenses in total. Different focal lengths, all doing different jobs. You've got the Canon L-Glass lenses. These are the top of the line lenses, 1-400, 24-70, 70-200, etc. smaller glass, 50mm 1.8, 40 2.8 wide angle pancake lenses, APS-C lenses that I use on the Canon 70D for vlogging. The one I've got on just now is the ultra wide angle 10-18. I also used to use, in fact still do use this, it's 18-135, gives me a bit more reach. Sony lenses from a Sony camera. This thing here is a 50-500 Sigma lens. Basically one lens gives you huge range. Now the apertures aren't very good. Even at the 50mm end, you're starting off at a 4.5 aperture, which is not good at all for a 50mm. The other bad thing about this one is it's seriously heavy. You really can't handhold it for that long. It does have image stabilization built into it though. You need image stabilization in. This behemoth down front is actually a 1300mm lens. I use this mainly to capture pictures of the moon, star fields, etc. It's a pure manual focus lens. I've also got a extender, a 2x extender for it. So this will actually give me 2600mm in length. There you go, just some of the many lenses I've got. The main ones I use: 70-200, 100-400, 20-40-70. This is the one that I carry around on the camera most of the time. Very versatile. The 24-70 2.8 Mark II lens. Love this lens. Macro lenses for flowers and anything up close. The 10-18 ultra wide angle, of course, on the 70D that I'm shooting this with. That is almost a fixture on that camera. When I do swap it out, I swap it out with this one, the 18-135, gives me a bit more length. So these 5 plus the one currently on the camera are the main ones I use daily. These other ones, yes, I still do use. They are just a bit more specialised, really depends on what I'm shooting and the situation I'm in. Lenses, by the way, aren't cheap. This collection here that you're seeing right in front of you is probably about $15,000 worth. My full collection of lenses is probably about $25,000 worth of lenses. You can buy a car for that. But there you go. Depending on the quality that you want and the uses of the lens, what you're actually shooting, you're going to need to spend some money. We're getting quite near the end of the list of equipment. These are adapters. Common light adapter, a metal bones adapter. That's all it is. What this allows me to do is take my Canon glass that I have a lot of and fit it to the Sony cameras. So I can use the really good Canon L glass on the Sony cameras. So it's really just an adapter. Now I could go through other things that I've got that I use quite a lot, like intervalometers. That allows you to take a series of pictures over time, time-lapse photography, memory cards. And they're fairly boring. They're sitting in my camera bag. So we'll just move straight to the last camera that I use. It comes in handy, always carry it around with me. It's one of the least used cameras by professional photographers, even although chances are it's on their body all the time. Your cell phone. This is a Galaxy S6 Plus. A couple of years old now. Still shoots 4K video, 1080 video. Images on it for a sensor this size, for a cell phone camera, are actually really good. Nothing like what the images in the video that the 70D will take or the 1DX will take. Larger sensors, much better photographs, much better video. But it's always on me. In a crunch, this works just fine. So there you have it. I hope that answered your question. It's not all the camera gear I've got, but this is the main gear that I use almost daily and carry around with me. If you see me travelling down the street, I'm probably going to have 1 or 2 bags over my shoulders, just carrying equipment. My friends have got used to it. In fact, if I'm not got a camera bag over my shoulder, they probably think something's wrong. But I hope that answered your question. This is the equipment I use almost daily when shooting various things. There was quite a lot to get through, so rather than put this in the standard Q&A at the end of the news session, I thought I would break this out to a separate video.